Ladies and gentlemen, back for another episode of The Mix Behind the Mic. Super excited today, our first official online pod. And if you guys are following the shows, you know we're based out of the Philly area, the northeast of the country. And today we're going down south, Fort Worth, Texas, with DJ Nate Acosta, DNA Premier Event Services. Nate, welcome to the show.
What up, man? Appreciate you guys having me.
Super excited to have you on. Been following the content for a while. Love your brand, love what you're doing. Couldn't wait to get someone outside of our area on. And really humble brag that a lot of comments we get on Instagram and stuff are like from the South, and people are saying we do things different down here in New Orleans. We've had a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people say. So I'm like, Texas, tell us about it. So before we dive in, tell us a little bit about how you got into it, how you got to today, and let our followers know where you're coming from.
Yeah, man. I kind of just started by chance. My mom and her sisters were looking for a DJ for my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary, and one of my tias was like, "Hey, let's just have like Nate do it." And yeah, bro, that was my first gig. I was like 15. I had my mom like they didn't pay me, but my mom like helped me get some speakers. We went to like a pawn shop, got like some old speakers, an old mixer. I actually
Love it.
DJ'd off like a desktop computer that she had. It wasn't even like, and it wasn't even DJing. It was just like playing a song, fading to the next
Right,
one.
right.
And then yeah, man, the rest is history, bro. I just kind of started doing like house parties for friends, and then I did like a local community radio show here in Dallas, and then yeah, bro, just kind of got into the weddings after that.
How long are you in now?
I'm 35, so 20 years, I guess, but I've really just been taking it serious probably like since 2019. I was working for like another multi-op DJ company before then for like 3 or 4 years, and then branched off and started my own thing with DNA in 2019. And that's kind of when I've been really like hitting it hard.
Love it. It's amazing. I'm 20 years in. I'm 42. I started at 22 essentially, and similar. And the first 10 years is nothing like the second 10 years,
Right.
and it's the same kind of
Well, I saw this
concept.
thing that said like the first like, 5, 10 years is when you get good at business, like is when you get good, and then the last 10 years is kind of like when you're starting to, kind of figuring it out a little
Putting
bit.
it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't want to be too like, how do I put this, generic when I say I almost want you to start us a rundown of a Dallas wedding, because I don't want to spill the beans of where I'm going with it, but like just your routine of formalities, flow, and if it's any different from up here. And before you answer, have you done any weddings up in the Northeast at all?
Yeah, I did one in Jersey once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's what I love.
so the biggest difference is like the open dance set before dinner. Like we don't do that here. So like
Okay.
whenever they told me about that, I was like, "Oh crap, like I've never like even experienced.
Attempted it.
Yeah, I've never done it, because we don't that's just something we don't do." So that I would say that's the biggest thing. And then cocktail hours were like super long. Like and it was in like a whole nother, I mean, they are usually like in another room here in Dallas too, but it was like a whole spread, bro. Like that cocktail hour was like they had like stations and drink, like here it's just like a little bit of hors d'oeuvres here and there, but that particular one was like a whole thing.
I definitely think we have crazy cocktail hours up
Yeah,
here for sure.
facts.
But the reason I asked is, and this goes back to people in New Orleans that were saying it, Nolans, um, that they don't do sit downs as much in the South.
Like sit down dinners?
Yes. Now, is that, I mean, I'm taking your word. I have no idea.
Yeah, nah, I mean, I have a sit down dinner every wedding that I do,
Okay.
Like unless like it's like a day wedding and it's more of like,
That's fair.
but I don't really do too many of those.
One of our, listen, I hope every clip we do is viral, but one that took off a couple months is that we did a clip that said, hot topic, we're trying to eliminate sit down dinners, have cocktail hour spreads, and then just uh not seated tables, just like high tops, furniture, lounge, if you will, and it's just formalities and the vibes.
Okay.
And so many people commented saying like, that's the norm down here. And again, I keep calling out New Orleans, but three or four people from there, and I was like, I want to run with this. And that started with going back to where you just said, we already have crazy cocktail hours. I'm very rarely a guest at a wedding, but when I am, I'm like excited and I don't drink a lot, but I'm like, I'm going to eat that steak and then I'm full and I don't even want to drink. And I'm like, I'd rather just go hard at them crazy cocktail hours and then just drink and party and dance and whatnot. So that was like my first thing off the top that I wanted to ask you. Uh, I love that you said it's very laid back and chill food wise. And I think some of the cocktail hours up here, like you literally don't need a dinner when there's 13 different stations for a cocktail hour.
Right. Yeah, for real. Facts. I mean, like I said, here in Dallas, like most of the cocktail hours that I have, I mean, I do a lot of Latin weddings. So it's like, chips and salsa, or it's like little hors d'oeuvres that go around, or nacho, whatever the case may be. But it's not like where people are just like stuffing their face.
Could have full
Yeah,
balloons.
exactly. So then from there, like the majority, like 99% of the weddings that I do have a sit down dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't know if this was a mirage of just random
I
people,
mean, unless they do
but
it different in New Orleans, but
which now I'm gonna have to look up that. But it's just crazy. I was like, maybe I'm trying to reinvent something, but I think I know I love that you said that the cocktail hours can compare to the experience, but like, do you need a steak if you've seen a 13 spread
right.
course of cocktail?
Exactly. Here, because the cocktail hours aren't so crazy as like up north, they do like a full blown meal. So
Right. Standard 1 hour cocktail, 4 hour reception. Again, I'm just going through all the
yeah, yeah.
basics of
So I
what
mean,
it
I
is down
guess
there.
we could just run through it. So
Yeah.
basically, the majority of the weddings that I do are 6 hours. Like that's how all my packages are built.
With
Six hour, yeah, with ceremony. Exactly.
okay.
So, you have your hours, like 30-minute ceremony, hour cocktail. Then we go into like grand entries. Um, a lot more couples are starting to just knock out all their parent dances and first dance at the front end of it, and then go into dinner for like an hour, speeches. Um, Here we do like a lot of like, it's called el baile del dólar, or the dollar dance essentially,
Okay.
where the bride and groom will get up there, people will come, put money in some box to dance with
Yeah.
them. And then from there, like toasts, open up the dance floor. And then, of course, like your bouquet, your garter. We do the Víbora de la Mar, which is like a Mexican tradition of like the bride and groom stand on these chairs, and it almost reminds me kind of like a hora. Like I hope I pronounced that right, for like
Yeah, you're good.
a Jewish event, where basically like all the women hold hands and they create like this like snake thing, and then all the guys go through, um and then we open back up the dance floor. So I mean, there are a few little, just because again I do so many Latin weddings, that there are a few little nuances to them, but for the most part that's like kind of how the majority of the weddings that I do are here.
Do you still do a good amount of garden bouquet?
It's becoming less and less, but I would say, yeah, I would say 50% of them still do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I would say 80% did them. Now I would say it's less than
Yeah. Oh,
5%.
really?
Yeah, like literally never anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the garter is starting to go away more than the
Where they
bouquet.
just throw the
Yeah,
bouquet.
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
okay,
Yeah,
that
I don't
makes
do
sense.
so many of like the whole like guy get on his knees and like taking off the garter
Right.
and stuff. Like, I mean, I still get a couple of them. And then I feel like a lot more, instead of bouquet toss, are turning into like the bouquet dedication, where they're
To
like
mom.
dedicating it to mom. Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense to see
Yeah.
that too. I think for us, and I don't know why maybe it didn't catch on down south as much, but I always felt like I had Uncle Tom and the 16-year-old girl that caught and that was like creepy with that exchange for the garter bouquet.
Right.
And I don't know if it just caught on sooner, but yeah, very rarely. Do you announce cake cutting a lot?
No,
Are you doing it
no, it's
privately?
mainly privately. Yeah.
Same, same,
Yeah.
same. Average guest count for your weddings.
I would say between like 150 and 200 is probably kind of like the average. Of course, you get a couple every now and then that are a little bit bigger, a little smaller, but yeah, I would say 150 to 200 is kind of like that, the standard count here.
I would say the same.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, I think we did more 200s
Right.
plus than, but now I keep going back to people are spending more money on the experience as far as adding in lighting, live musician, etc. that make the experience a little better. So maybe that 200 is now 175, but they spent more on the experience.
Right. Fact. Yeah, I agree.
Uh, what would you say? So I know, again, I follow your content. You do a lot of Latin wins. Is that essentially how you broke into it as far as like your brand itself?
Well, I mean, funny thing is, like, I started when I got into like the wedding industry with the other company, I hardly did any Latin weddings, right? But then once I broke off on my own, especially like living here in Dallas, like there's so much like quote unquote competition, right? Like we were talking about Justin, my guy Justin, he lives here in Dallas, and the LaForce team lives here in Dallas. And then, you got guys like Jack Christian, but I mean, this was when I first started, I didn't really know any of those guys, but my main thing was just trying to figure out where I could stand out, right? And I started shout out
Yeah,
to my guy Malik. I've known Malik for a long time. I'm not sure if you know Malik, but um he would always talk to me about like branding and how you can separate yourself. And speaking Spanish is like a superpower for me, bro, because like, especially here in Texas, we have a huge Latino population. So,
sure.
they're always looking for someone that can accommodate both sides of the family because they're going to have family members there that don't necessarily speak English, and they're going to have family members there that don't speak Spanish. So they need to
Right.
have someone that can do both. So when I was kind of thinking about that, like, of course, there was like bilingual DJs in my market, but there wasn't the go-to bilingual DJ in my market. So instead of like creating like when I started creating content and stuff, like I just kind of doubled down on the whole bilingual aspect. And that was probably the best thing I ever did, bro. Is like niche down. But it is scary. I was talking to somebody the other day because it's like you are in a sense kind of limiting yourself when you first start, because like if you are only speaking to a certain audience, then at the beginning it's scary because you're going to get some no's. But the more you do it, those people will eventually find you that you're creating the content for.
Absolutely. Shout out to Malik, and I'm dying to get this guy on the pod soon. And now that we're doing the onlines, he's definitely on the list. He came to a whip event in Philly last year, and I had no idea that he was going to be a speaker. And his brand is about traveling a
Yeah.
lot, and they do them all over. I'm doing a wedding in Punta Cana on Friday, and I
Nice.
cannot wait. And we booked another one yesterday for next May. So I'm really trying to get into that market a little bit. And I just, again, his brand is real cool. So excited to have him on. But I bring this up because the niche is everything.
Yep.
I'm working on different things on our brand. How do we stand out to our competitors? We're in the Philly market, Jersey market, same concept. There's a lot of us. So, what sets you apart and sets you different? So, it's always things are trying to go back in and reevaluate for our own team to,
Exactly. I always refine the process, like, I feel like that's where people kind of make the mistake is they end up getting comfortable and they're not, refining what they're doing, as opposed to just like keep doing the same old thing, you're going to get the same old results.
yeah, can't agree more. So, getting to our brides, anything that you're specifically loving in 26 that's new that you're seeing, or things that you're not loving in 2026?
I mean, I think for me, bro, like the more that I've been kind of doubling down on the branding is just I feel like the atmosphere that people are trying to create at their weddings nowadays, right? Like when I even back in 2019 when I was first kind of coming
A
into.
different world.
Yeah, bro. Like, back then it was more of like the traditional wedding that almost like their parents had at their point. But now we're getting couples that are like, man, we want a party, bro. Like we want this thing to be, once my grandma and them leave, like we really want to turn up. And so I feel like sometimes as wedding DJs, we get the misunderstanding, or people categorize us as like being kind of lame, or it's kind of a boring thing to do, or like, well, I want to be in the clubs, bro. But I mean, I feel like the switch is coming to weddings where they want more of like that club DJ type vibe at their wedding.
10 years ago, which 2019 is only 7 years, I think the game has completely changed,
Yeah.
and mixing is a huge part of it. I don't think mixing was as important to brides 10 years ago for wedding DJ than it is now.
Yep.
And that's something that changed the game, which is good because in such a saturated market, that filters out a lot of people too. But that's also the difference when you're charging 1K, 3, 4K for a DJ.
Right. And I
You
feel
know,
like another big thing too that's kind of been taken off here lately is more of like they want a production. So like, we're getting more couples requesting like LED panels and like other like, but they just want a whole different vibe, like an almost like an after party type vibe at their wedding
At their
reception, which
actual
is
wedding.
yeah, which is really cool. So, and I feel like that kind of took a while. I know like on the East Coast, I feel like y'all are already always ahead with like the new stuff, like cryo cannons and all this other stuff that you guys do. It kind of takes a little bit longer to kind of catch on down south, I feel.
And you're probably right. I'm always like, what else can we add?
Yeah.
We do the CO2 guns and cannons, cold sparks, but it's always like, what else can we add? Which is great for the vendor aspect. What do you guys offer besides DJs?
I mean, we do photo booth. We do like all the extra CO2, LED walls, dance floors.
LED walls, I want to get in.
Yeah. I mean, so the funny thing about that though, I contract all that out. Like I don't own any of that stuff. I have a couple of friends that are super dope at setting that stuff
Yeah,
up, so I just bring them in on it if I do need it.
makes sense. It's kind of where I dabble at right now,
Yeah.
but I'm like dying to get them.
Yeah, I'm the type, bro, like unless I'm getting frequent like asked for it like super frequently, I'm gonna like be a little bit more cautious about buying it because like, dropping 20, $30,000 on something
I
that
mean,
that's gonna be sitting, I may not, I'm not so quick to do that.
all right, so here's a fun one. So we do a decent amount of Latin weddings. And when I say decent, I mean 10%.
Okay.
Uh, but I have a couple guys, Latino, bilingual. But what do you really think? And I don't even know this question. I should. When you talk bilingual, when your announcements, are you completely 50 50? Is it, are you saying verbatim the same exact things?
Nah, it's like kind of like I always kind of relate to like Spanglish, like I would kind of like start in English and then finish the sentence in Spanish, or start the sentence in Spanish and finish it in English. Like I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. Um, and that's usually because I feel like if I were to do it verbatim, it's gonna take twice as
Sure,
long to do the
sure.
damn grand entry as opposed to just kind of bouncing back and forth.
You do a lot of mixed, you
Yeah.
said. So say Spanish and something, white, black, something.
Right. Yep.
What is it on the non Latin side that you find that most people are shocked or not familiar with? Because I'm not familiar with, you just mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing, bro, for people who don't do Latin weddings is that like Latin music is almost kind of the same, right? So like people think Latin music and automatically the first person that comes to mind in most cases like Bad Bunny,
Bad Bunny
you
or
know?
Elvis Crespo. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The only two.
right. So that's more for like Puerto Ricans or like Dominicans or, but in Texas, we have more of like a Mexican population. So like even in the East Coast, y'all have more of like a Dominican or Puerto Rican or
Sure.
Cuban type of like Latinos that live out there. Here in Texas, it's more like at least the weddings that I do is mainly
I mean, it's right there.
Mexican.
Sure.
So the music is completely different. You show up to a Mexican wedding, bro, and open the dance floor with Bad Bunny, of course, you're gonna get a couple people that are like, okay, they're vibing to it, but like all the older people are gonna be like, what the hell is this, man?
Yeah, this is
Get
not.
this guy out of here. This is not, it's like going to, a white wedding and then maybe they hate country music and you just assume because they're white, they like country. You know what I'm saying? So like
No, no.
it's
Great
like
analogy.
it's the same kind of thing with Mexicans and then you have different states of Mexico that like their own specific genres, right? So like and they're very and we're weird, bro. Like, if Mexicans are from a certain state and you play music from another state, it may not hit. They're gonna be like, nah, man, this isn't what we want to listen to. You need to play the music from our state. And so it's very regionally based music. And so you have to be really familiar with those regions to know like what to play during the night.
Very interesting. And I'm not going to pretend that I know the difference. And I'm probably potentially going to butcher some of these words. But like when you say different areas, I get the concept. But when I talk in the only way I can pretend to know what I'm talking about, are you saying merengue, bachata, all different types
Yeah.
simply from Mexican, but like within them genres?
Mexicans don't really like if you're in like let's just say someone was like born and raised in Mexico, they're most likely not listening to bachata, bro. Like or merengue. Like I mean, they're some merengue maybe, but it's more like it just like norteñas and cumbias and huapangos and quebraditas. Like it's just they're a whole different like
It's another world.
yeah, it's a whole different world. It's like like back in the day when like the East Coast rappers didn't like the West Coast rap. You had like Tupac and Biggie.
Right, right.
That's like the best way to explain it. You got people in Mexico where it's not like that level of beef, but it's just
I
like,
get it.
they're very proud of where they're from. So like they want their music.
I feel as though I can hold a conversation for a consult. And I literally just did this today. I'm doing I'm almost positive we're going to book this. It's for Hard Rock and Punta Cana. And she's from here. He's Venezuelan. And she said there's going to be some people coming from Venezuela. And beautiful of 2026, she's like, we're going to throw a Spotify
Yep.
to send you, give me 20 tracks. Cool. We can obviously work them in. But I'm never going to lie to her and be like, I'm going to know the specifics of different. Again, I know the difference of just knowing more than Bad Bunny and Suave Mende, but knowing different, I can't even say merengue as clutch as you do. I just like to be honest with people. And I feel like there's way more expectations down there, obviously, than up here, which luckily for me, I don't know shit. I thought I knew a little coming in this conversation. Now I realize I know nothing at all.
Well, I mean, but at least you're honest, bro. Like, and I feel like that's the biggest thing too. Like,
Huge.
if any DJs out there listening, like it's better to just be upfront with these people when you're meeting with them and let them decide if that's good enough for them than like making it seem like you just know what you're talking about and then you get to their wedding and just
Facts.
don't do the right. Like a perfect example for me was like I had this corporate event that I booked not too long ago, and they never told me that the majority of the guests that were going to be coming were Indian, right? And so
Probably an important thing
yeah,
to tell you.
they told me that they wanted like pop and hip hop, and I was like, all right, bet, like I could definitely do that. Well, I get to the event, bro, and 90% of the guests there are Indian. So during dinner, I'm like scrambling on Chat GPT trying to find like, okay, give me like the top 30 bangers that I could play for these bull. They're like Mexicans where each state of India has a different
That's
type of vibe. So I'm playing this music and these people are like, nah, this isn't what we want. And thankfully they showed me like some grace and they brought me like it had a Spotify playlist that they brought up to me, but it just I was just like, damn, bro. Like, had I known, I would have just contracted it out to an Indian homie of
right.
mine that could came in and done a way
Right.
better job than me. And I think that's super important whenever you're taking on events is just like knowing your limit. Like, I'm not super versed in like country music, right? So like, although I am from Texas, but like, I'm not gonna sit there and be able to play a 2-hour country dance set. Like,
Right.
I'm just not gonna be able to do it.
Nick Spinelli came on a couple months ago, and that's one thing he said that stuck out to me so much. You need to be honest with couples, and there's so many weddings out there. Not everyone is for you, and being honest that forte might not be for them. Like, you have to be honest with clients.
Right.
And there's so many DJs out there that will lie to these people's faces
Yep.
just to get the booking. Yep, I can do that. I can do that. You know what I mean? And really don't have a strong, like I just mentioned, the couple I said earlier, I said, is it a 50-50 or is it something where you're giving me 10, 12 songs that you want to sprinkle in throughout the night? 10, 12 songs is an easy sprinkle.
Right.
50-50 on something I'm not completely comfortable with is a different conversation.
Exactly.
I say I love this like north-south thing, as you just said, Biggie and Tupac. But something I wrote down was, what are some traditions you see regularly that most of us in the Northeast might not have seen? And just the example of what you gave us about and if it's more Latin stuff versus just traditional stuff in the South.
Yeah, I mean, again, because I don't do too many weddings that aren't Latin, it's kind of hard, like
You're that hard. So what percent would you say? 75, 80%?
like 90 probably.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
like 90% of the weddings that we do have some sort of like one of them is Latino. And that's kind of like our niche. Like it's normally the weddings that we do, they're not like full on like bride and groom are both Latin. It's normally the bride or the groom is Latin and the other one isn't. So like it's always a mix.
So, and if you don't do this, here's my tip for you. I feel as though you were talking that your niche is Latin. I'm not taking it like that. Now I'm thinking is you're taking the Latin with the.
Yeah, I mean, like if you go on our website, it's like bilingual wedding experts. It's kind of like the way
There
we
you go.
market it.
That makes
So
sense.
yeah, so like yeah, it's definitely more so of like the bilingual thing because like And I'll be honest about this too. I don't like doing weddings where it's like they want me to speak MC 100% Spanish, or like they want strictly only Latin music. That's not my ideal client either, because again, I like to be able to bounce between hip hop and R&B and,
You're handcuffed.
yeah, exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What's your favorite or coolest wedding tradition you've seen? These are like really off the wall random questions.
Oh, coolest wedding tradition I've seen?
Yeah.
Um, Man, something that I saw was really cool, bro. Like, I did a wedding not too long ago where the bride's grandfather had passed away, and he actually had done the ceremony for her sister's wedding. And so we took the audio from the video that they recorded of him doing the like ceremony. And so like the officiant kind of started the wedding, but then at the very end, when they pronounced them, husband and wife, we took the grandfather's audio and used that to say like, for the first time I present to you, and then the officiant step. So that was kind of cool because like we brought in, you know, her grandfather meant a lot to her, so we brought that in, and it was kind of a cool little thing that we did for them.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I like when they are starting to introduce stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're doing a wedding in 2 weeks where the bride's dad passed, and there's like a voicemail that she sent us that she wants us to play before we walk down the aisle. Which
Yeah.
seems kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, I like
I like
that. And I
seeing
like
stuff like that.
like sometimes I don't do it all the time, but I've done it a couple of times where like if they said something really cool during their vows, I'll kind of take that and overlay it over like their last dance song. I've done that a couple of times. I don't remember who I stole that from on Instagram, but that usually hits pretty good too.
I like it. What's your favorite food at a wedding?
Ooh, man. Probably tacos, bro. It's hard to mess up tacos, but I'm talking like I want the taco guy to be out there in the back cooking them on like a Blackstone, like don't give me the crunchy shell tacos at a wedding. I want like the real street tacos.
So now I'm gonna go more food, and I wasn't planning on go there. I just assume steak, chicken, fish. Is that not a routine? I
Nah,
mean,
bro.
again, I know you said big Latin
Yeah, I
aspect.
don't do like, it's funny because like I was at a wedding or not at a wedding, a quinceañera in Iowa this past weekend, that I DJ'd, and they had like Cuban food. So again, Cuban cuisine's way different than like Mexican food. So
Sure.
I was like so excited because I'm so used to doing like fajitas, like 80% of the weddings we do, bro, is fajitas, rice, beans, tortillas, and like, the
And
fixings
that's the
for like
norm.
fajita, and that's the norm. Um, we don't really get a lot of like steak dinners and salmon and lobster, like it's mainly like Mexican cuisine that we get at a lot of these events. So when I got something different, I was like, oh bro, this is dope. Like I don't ever get to eat like Cuban food where I'm from. So it was nice. So yeah, I would say if I had to pick what I'm used to get, I mean, it'd probably be like tacos. Yeah.
Is this a norm in the Fort Worth area? Something big in the past 2, 3 years? Are people are doing late night food
Yeah.
when they're leaving? Whether well, I was going to say cheesesteak, shocker from up here, but like something as they're leaving, as the DJ or the vendor, where like I might not even got a chance to eat, or I scarf something down, but that like late night as you leave is always a vibe.
No, yeah, for sure, bro. We do like elote carts, which is like Mexican like street corn. It's like a cup. They put corn, they put like mayo and cheese and hot sauce and stuff like that. Or, we're in Texas, so like Whataburger is really big here. So they do like late night Whataburger, or I've seen McDonald's, or just what like other tacos
Although
sometimes. It just depends on what it is.
if I wasn't on this headset and Keith heard me, I'm so I'm the pickiest eater in the world, but I didn't know what you just said it. I've never had it in my life.
Elote?
Mexican corn?
Yeah, bro. I
Never
gotta
had it in
put you
my life.
on, bro. I gotta
That
put you on.
literally someone was like, "You've never had this in your life." You're like, "You're so sheltered." I'm like, "Wow, I gotta get on that." Uh when you do weddings, are you solo? Do you bring a guy? What's your like
Yeah, yeah,
routine?
yeah. So normally it's at least one person with me at all times. Yeah, I have like an assistant. Shout out to my guy George. He's with me like at 90% of the weddings. Um and yeah, man, it just makes it so much easier, especially because he's been working with me for like the last, man, like 3 or 4 years. So he already knows the full setup. He can get it off the trailer, hook everything up, wire it all up, tape it down. And so like when we do weddings, I'm able to just like leave him be in the reception area. I can go set up ceremony or cocktail or whatever the case may be. I'll come back and finish helping him out. But yeah, man, I feel like it just makes it so much easier to have a second person.
It's so easy to just talk routines and DJ stuff in the wedding world. And I'm always like, how can I flip this, get some knowledge for the brides? But one thing that just popped in my head that I try to stress is all of our DJ packages are a two-man show.
Yeah.
I always put things as a DJ and MC. There's a couple guys that do both where they bring an assistant, but I just can't understand them weekend warriors that do them by themselves.
Yeah, man.
And so much shit can go wrong that I don't want to like hate and say it's impossible, but like in 2026, it's almost a red flag to me if you're doing them solo, just because I tell every client shit's gonna happen in your
Yeah,
wedding.
exactly.
It's how you react and pivot from them, and having that extra body there is sometimes so massive.
Yeah, I mean, I did it for a long time, like where I was just doing them on my own, but like now that I'll never go back, bro.
Production.
Yeah, I'll never go back, and I think too, like you brought up a good point, like something's always gonna happen, bro. Like whether it's like, damn, I forgot a cable in the truck, I need you to go grab it, or whatever the case may be, man. And so I feel like any DJs, and I feel like the biggest hindrance for a lot of DJs is they're like, well, I don't want to spend the extra money, bro. Raise your price $200 and just
Right.
pay,
Right.
pay that to your helper, because yeah, it just makes a world of a difference.
You gave the perfect example. I said no one should ever forget their charger for their laptop mid set at a wedding. But
It
if
happens.
you did, that like shit your pants moment of that's why you have that body. And this wedding, he could have done nothing but been your setup guy and dropped off gear. But the next wedding, when you forget that cord, something takes a shit, you're there for
Bro, I've
it.
had
And
him
it's
take my truck and leave and go back to the house or go to my storage and pick up something because like I
facts.
forgot it or just something happened. And yeah, if I didn't have
Multiple
him, like
times.
what,
Like, yeah.
you know?
And the best part is that they never know about it because you had that extra body. You didn't freak out
Exactly.
because, you still were running the ship.
Right.
So for your weddings, again, going back to my South questions, more indoor, more outdoor, 50-50.
Oh,
It's hot down
definitely.
there.
Yeah, bro. Like definitely indoor, man. I mean,
Okay.
I now I'm at the point where I won't take a booking if it's outdoors in the summer months. Like
All right.
hell no.
So I'm going to call you out real quick because I just looked at the story and the Swag Surf song, and I saw it was an outdoor wedding.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, I wonder if they do a lot out there. And my first thought was, damn, that's probably hot.
That day actually wasn't too bad. Like, now at this point, like June, July, that swag surf one was a couple months ago. I just
Right.
posted it, but
Fall, I mean, spring.
like spring, yeah. But
Yeah.
even spring, man, like it's a little iffy. Now I did have a wedding last weekend that was outdoors, and I was directly in some, but it was for a friend, and like I made the exception for them because they're close family friends, and I was
Sure.
like, damn, bro, but like, all right, I'm gonna do it, but. Yeah,
Not
like
ideal.
just like even like this year was the first year that I'm like, you know what, bro, I'm just gonna take the month of. Well, my plan was to take the month of July just completely off. Um, I ended up booking just two little things, but like I'm just, it's just too hot here, bro. So like I feel that even just having your ceremony outdoors is miserable for people, man. Like you got people sitting out there for 30 minutes in the direct sunlight in a full suit. Like you must
Ceremony.
hate your people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's way too hot for that here in Texas.
It's funny you say this because I'm kind of doing exactly what you just said of I'm taking the month of July and I'm looking to move to Florida, and I'm going down and I'm bouncing around Florida, and I'm doing it in the month of July solely because can I handle this heat? How are we going to react to it?
Yeah.
And I visited in April and in November, and I've never been down in the South for a good amount
Oh,
in
bro.
the heat of the summer.
Good
So,
luck.
I'm looking at like the Tampa area, but Tampa, Orlando, West Palm Beach is where I'm like flirting at it with traveling in July. But I'm coming for the heat to experience it.
Yeah, good luck, bro.
Uh, Anything that sticks out to you when I say, Nate, hop on a wedding podcast, talk to me about brides. What can we tell them? What sticks out? Is there anything in your spiel when you do consults that you preach to brides about, just tips of the tricks of the trade?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I tell couples all the time, man, like one of the biggest things is just like making sure you like whoever you're meeting with. You know, like that's one of the biggest things because we're gonna be working together so closely. We gotta like each other, right? And so if you don't get a good vibe, or if I'm kind of like not really feeling the vibe, then it's best we just kind of like stop it here, you know, instead of getting further along. It's almost like dating somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to make sure that you actually like this person. So I think that's a big one. And also like it's just good to find someone that you know truly understands. And in our case, my biggest spiel is like making sure you get someone that really understands the culture, right? Like what songs, and this the analogy I always use in every time too, is like what songs am I going to be able to know that are going to resonate with your family? Like, what are those songs that your mom was playing on a Saturday morning when she was cleaning the house, right? Or like, and so with that being said, if I know them, or like, or I'll try to like rattle off artists and songs like during the console. And if I kind of notice like they're like, the light bulb goes off for them, then I know, okay, bet I'm perfect, or so yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the biggest thing. Just, I mean, you know, my biggest thing is just like making sure that we like each other. That's my one of my big points nowadays.
I think vibes are everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I push the FaceTimes or the Zooms. I want to
Yep.
see your face. And you just simply saying the light bulb is massive to me. And I won't even go into the sales aspect of, you know, I want to see their face light up or them have different emotions when we talk about a song or a vibe or the feel of the night. Being able to play to multiple genres, starting off with oldies, ending with bangers, late nights, and they leave early kind of thing, or like the older people leave. The vibes with your DJ is everything.
Yep.
And sometimes people just look at price tags and don't understand. And I just wish more people would watch these pop relate and get the concept that they heard it 500 times for a reason as they've been engaged. DJ makes or breaks everything.
Yeah. Facts. I mean, and I think that too, if someone isn't willing to get on a Zoom call with me, that's a red flag, right? Like I got to be able to like see what like I want to see what you look like. I want to see, because you can tell a lot about someone's body language, even if you're not like physically there with them, just over Zoom, like being able to like interact with them over video. It's just I feel like all the calls that I have that are only like video, like audio calls, just aren't the same as if I can actually get on a Zoom.
I now feel uncomfortable
Yeah.
if it's like, oh, hey, sorry, I forgot I'd run, but like I'm gonna get in the car and we get in this call. I feel like my spiel's off. I
Yep.
feel like I feel like I'm just out of character when I can't see them.
No, I agree 100%.
I'm curious a question, and I don't care about the actual numbers, but do you just display your pricing on
Mhm.
like website or stuff?
Yeah.
So everything's out there and
Everything's
they know
out
what
there.
they're getting.
Yep, yeah, so, like, before, and that's a big, like, I don't wanna waste y'all's time, with if we're not in your budget, and
Sure,
I
sure.
don't want you to waste mine, so, yeah, I recently just put the pricing link on our website, but before, if, like, they would book a call, our bot would send them the pricing link before the call so they could review it.
I used to send all pricing, and then I completely sent no pricing, and now I have like starting pricing on the website. And I think it's slightly different for me just because I do photo, video, and 10 add-ons.
Mm,
So that price can change a lot if they're booking 7
sure,
services versus 1 or 2.
right.
But going back to what you said, I talk a lot about Gen Z on this pod because they're the future of our weddings and they want everything right now, direct. And I get that they don't want me to be Mr. Salesman and get on a call before them to get some pricing, which is why I put starters. But I don't think I ever thought of it how you're saying it. Like, do I even want to do their wedding if they don't want to take 20 ish minutes
Yep.
to talk to me about their day?
Yeah,
I don't think, and this goes back to respectfully, I don't need them.
right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we want to work with people that understand us, have the same vibes and vision as them. And if they don't want to take 15, 20 minutes of their day to really get to know someone that's going to be a massive factor of their wedding, why do we want a part of that too?
Facts. Yeah, they really don't value the experience of a DJ at that point, in my opinion,
Yeah. No, I feel like it's, I don't want to say cutthroat or ruthless, but it's like, it's really that important. I just don't think I've ever like swallowed the pill that it's just so massive that they should want to invest. That's the best word.
Right.
Invest the time. And how many clients, again, this is me just rambling over here, but like, how many times have you had someone go back and forth with you 37 emails or phone calls and you book them and you're like, they're not even going to be that same connection, but at this point you had 40 emails and 7 phone calls. Like you want to book it at this point
Right.
too, right?
Right.
But
No, for sure.
for your weddings, the venues, you said obviously they're inside. Are you doing ballrooms, barns, a little bit of everything? Is there more one that you're doing than others?
It's more like standalone venues that they build. You know, it's not really like I don't do too many hotel weddings, like with like hotel ballrooms. I don't have many of those. Um, I feel like the barns were kind of big for a little bit, and then they kind of just slowly
I
kind of
feel the
died
same.
out, kind of went out of style. So I feel like now it's more so like, you know, like I don't know if you guys have like Springs or like Walters out there in the north, like those like chain wedding venues, but like that type of style of stuff where it's like
Okay.
they build it specifically to be a wedding venue, essentially.
This goes back to me saying Gen Zs too. I think more and more they want the empty open canvas
Right.
to work with and build the experience themselves. We offer up lighting. I low key hate on the venues that have them built into the
Me
systems
too, bro.
because then I can't, push that. But
And it's also like you can't even sync them. You know, like I like to we DMX all of our uplights, so I like to
right,
be able to
exactly.
do that type of stuff. And when that's that, but and when they have them already, it's like they're just gonna stay one color all night.
Maybe that's not something talked about enough. Like some of these ballrooms or chains that have big ones that multiples, they're building the walls. Once in a blue, there's one place we have that hand us an iPod when we walked in. That's very rare. But like the lighting of the whole place.
Right.
But like most of them, like you said, one color for a night and that's it.
Yep.
And people don't realize how much energy vibes comes into hitting that. I don't even like to say strobe because people are like, oh, strobes, but
Right.
like on that beat drop, even if it's for 2 seconds, the pop of it does.
Yes.
I love that we wrote our country thing's still a must, and you made it real clear where you are on that one. And I was definitely going to ask that just because of you said Texas. I'm
Yeah.
like, how is that not implemented?
I mean, I'm sure there
Uh,
are like clients out there that want a lot of country. I'm
sure,
just not
not for
doing.
you.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with PBR? I know they got like so there's something up here called Stateside Live, used to be Xfinity Live. They're all over the country
Oh
and
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
like they have like a bowl and whatnot. So that we have DJs play one of them up here and it's like a minimum 60% country has to be mixed into their shift. And we take some of them tracks that are just Morgan Wallen remixes
Sure.
and stuff that we'll throw into weddings that make it a little bit more easier, but kind of the same aspect of how much country you're throwing into a 2 hour dance that generally the bare minimum
Yeah, it's probably like 3 or 4 songs.
max. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going on
Yeah.
that. How about late night? Are your weddings 11, 12 o'clock or most over at 10 o'clock or
Yeah,
does it
like I would
spread?
say the majority of them, I would probably say 11 is kind of like the majority. But I mean, of course, we get the ones that go till 2, go to midnight.
2?
Yeah, bro. Mexicans like to party, man. That's another
2?
thing I'd be trying to talk them out of. I'm like, dude, you do not need a freaking wedding that starts at 3 and goes till 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Stop. That's like a real thing.
yeah, bro.
3 to 2.
Yeah.
Yo, it's so funny you're saying this because something I often say is again, standard wedding, 30-minute ceremony, hour cocktail, 4 hour
Yeah.
reception. A lot of times when they add on that extra hour, and I'm now talking 7 total hours, I feel like they trickle out at the end.
Yep.
And if it was an extra 30, it might have ended on fire, such a high note. But that extra hour, sometimes they just trickle out so much where to me, if it ended 30 minutes ago, it was a banger in my head. But
Yes.
that last 30 trickled out where I was like, it was a good wedding.
Well, and I always tell my couples, like when I'm consulting with them, I'm like, look, I charge for the extra hour. So, and it doesn't make me no difference. But
Right.
I always give the analogy of going to the club. Who gets there to the club at 9 p.m. when the doors open? Hardly
Right.
anybody. Most people get there at like midnight and stay till 2. Same concept with your dance floor. You don't want it. You don't want people there for the opener. You want to just be there, like enjoy the rest of the night. So, like, I always think like an hour and a half, 2 hours max of open dance is like, that's all you need.
And then I try to be blunt with people of like, I'll take your money,
Right.
give it
Exactly.
to me. But it's like, I also want your guests to leave with, that was crazy. That was
Yes.
wild. And that extra hour you paid me for might have fizzled out to them like it did in my head.
Yep.
We do this every week and we see, you know, a banger to someone else could be a 7 to us
Right.
because we've seen insane weddings where we leave with sweat pouring down our face because it was that crazy. But sometimes that extra hour just killed that finish, if you will.
Exactly. No, I agree 100%. Yeah.
3-2 though, bro.
Bro, it's because like sometimes like some of these weddings we do, they also have like multiple bands. So like, they'll have one band and then they'll have another band and then they'll have the DJ. And so like, sometimes they get a little crazy, get a little carried
That
away.
that's wild. Nate, any final thoughts for our brides today?
Nah, man, just thanks for having me, bro. I love what you guys are doing. I appreciate y'all, inviting me on and allowing me to chop it up with you guys. It's been awesome, man. So hopefully we shared some stuff that was beneficial to people. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, I appreciate it. Like I said, I follow the content. I love your work. Uh you have a you have yeah, I know you have at least one kid. How old?
Yeah, she's 9.
Okay, I have a almost 7-year-old son. So your dad stuff, your parenting stuff, not just the DJ stuff, but the human aspect of
Right.
you. Love the content. Respect the hell out of you.
Thank you, brother.
Super appreciate for you coming on.
Appreciate you, bro.
Um, all right, our first official online pod in the books. DJ
We
Nate
did it.
Acosta. Thanks for coming on, man.
No
We're
problem,
out of
brother.
here, people.
Later.
Later.